Bitcoin dips below 80, like I feel like all hell is going to break loose.
Yeah, if it dips below 80, then it'll dip below 30, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Oh, I haven't heard that, but please say no.
Oh, I just made that up. But isn't it's a beauty light, Hutch? Thank you.
Of course it is.
I've been at this for years, and I've never taken profit.
We're going to be the boomers soon.
It took me 40 minutes to figure out how to get my webcam to work.
Oh, you look so handsome.
It's a beauty light, Hutch. Thank you.
Of course it is. And it makes you look so much more beautiful.
I need to put on that fix your face filter.
Just blur me a little bit, like I've got foundation on. That might be a thing. Maybe we should start doing that instead.
Maybe that's the new Web3 product. Special foundation filters.
I bet there's money in that as a product placement. Oh, male makeup. All right, shall I do the intro?
Do it.
Welcome to the inaugural 40-year. Hang on, let me start again. Welcome to the inaugural 40-Year Old Degen podcast. We've been having these conversations for many years, haven't we? And now we've decided to film them and put them on the internet, which feels like a mistake. But if you're not growing, you're not scared, you're not learning, you're not improving, Taco. So yes, this is exciting for me.
This is exciting for me. Prior to this, I think the highlight of my life was in 1998, I was fourth runner-up for Mr. Teen Delaware. But this is it now for me. And I appreciate the fact that you waited until the Web3 crypto market was in the tank to start talking about it.
It was it was definitely strategic. Because now I have bags to pump. I feel like I actively need to be pumping them. Not that this is a podcast where anybody is going to get any usable financial advice. I feel like this is just more about us commiserating, fumbling generational wealth time and time again.
Yeah, to your credit, when you suggested this podcast, I said, like we're going to rug people and make some money. And you said, no, it's not that at all, which is probably the right answer.
Yeah, I feel like, to be honest, I'm suspicious of anybody who, any podcast who just immediately puts up like Web3. Web3 is the solution to a lot of problems, not a lot of the ones that are to do with podcasting, though. You know, that's very, very few podcast problems that can be solved with blockchain. So yeah, I think this is more just about and knowing that the community, and at least initially, is just going to be our friends from I don't know if we're saying the name of the company that we previously worked for, or if that's specifically outlined in our NDAs. But it's just going to all be ex-Gala community or current Gala community. It's just going to be RNG, basically. He's the one that's that's really excited about this.
Yeah, hey, that's enough for me. As long as someone's paying attention, I feel great.
Well, and I'm trying not to pay attention this week, right? Because we just started hitting scary numbers, right? Like if Bitcoin dips below 80, like I feel like all hell is going to break loose.
Yeah, if it dips below 80, then it'll dip below 30, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Oh, I haven't heard that, but please say no.
Oh, I just made that up. But isn't that there's a thing where there's like these lines on the charts where apparently people look at like there's like a hold line where like as long as you don't pass that line, you're going to be okay.
Oh, I mean, I like it. Fibonacci retracement, perhaps.
Perhaps.
It really sucks. I thought Trump was going to sort all of this out. Like, is America not great again? Like, what's going on?
No, it is. He did promise that. But I think you just need to give it a little bit of time. Obviously, this week, Web3 is reacting to Web2, and we're doing some stuff. We've got some great tariffs coming up that we're placing on people. And so initially, the market is going to look at that and say, oh, wait, that's bad. Right. But give it a few months or a few years and we'll come around. We'll figure it out. And plus Elon's right in there.
Yes.
Right. So once that all gets set up, it's just going to turn around. So just keep holding. The thing for me is that everybody keeps saying to buy the dip, which that is sound strategy. DCA, I'm all about buying the dip, except that if I already have everything into the current, all my bags are already what my bags are going to be. I don't have new money to buy the dip. I just have, my dip is just what I've already accumulated. And so I don't know who's buying the dip, where they get their money from.
I mean, I assume those are new people into the market because I'm in the same place, right? I've been holding my Bitcoin bag since 22. You know, like whenever that bottom was, end of 22.
Oh, so you're doing great.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I have averaged up, you know, like I try and do it monthly. This is my attempt to be sound, financially smart in a world of crypto degens, right? So I'm at least trying to just continuously add so that my average, you know, like mini Michael Saylor here, and every other type of investment that I have ever tried has failed horribly in crypto, right? There was one, I had a wonderful winning streak back in 21, I think, with BNB shitcoins, right? On PooCoin. And round tripped all of that. Like, like got decently up in one wallet. And I was like, oh my God, I understand how this works. You've got to get on the trends and blah, blah, blah. And then I just bulldozed all of that back into, I mean, I'm sure I had a nice meal out or two, but round tripped most of it. So yeah, that's the state of my investment knowledge in the crypto space. I stick to my other knowledge area.
I like to think I'm a proper degen in that I've been at this for years and I've never taken profit, even when I was very up. And I had some wins, but if you hold on to a win long enough, it'll obviously turn into a loss. But if you keep holding that loss, it probably won't come back to a win again. And I just keep learning that same lesson over and over again. Yeah. Which is fun. And I had this conversation recently about if I had just taken everything and put it into Bitcoin and just let it be Bitcoin, I'd be doing great right now. But then I wouldn't have had this adventure, right? And I wouldn't have made all these friends along the way. And that's what this is really about, isn't it? When Bitcoin was at 20, I knew it was going to get to 100. I was fully confident. But that's only a 5x, right? Which in real life is great. You can't get that in real life. I just put just actual fiat money into a thing and you're like, we're going to give you 5x in a year. And you'd be like, this is the best thing I've ever heard of. But somehow in Web3, that's not what I'm interested in. I needed whatever the number is. I don't actually know what my number is because I've seen a 10x and a 20x and I didn't care. I'm still holding because it's going to be something that's going to be that number you get to. You're like, okay, that's the number. And now I'm going to pull all this out. You're waiting for that generational wealth moment where it's like in the millions and you're like, great, now
I never have to work again. Yeah.
And that's the goal. I don't want to make $200 or $2,000. I want to make 70 million.
And are we going to get that opportunity with the Kanye shitcoin that seems to be in the works? Although I haven't seen any more on that. Like there was a big flurry of tweets around it, like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and it's gone quiet.
Yeah, I'm super torn, and maybe you can help me with it because I'm fully aware that if Kanye put a token out, it's just going to be a rug, right? But before it gets to a rug, it's going to get to a certain very, very high number. And so we know it's terrible and he's going to rug us, and whoever the guys are he's doing it with, they're going to rug us. But like if you get it early, you can still make money before it rugs, which I know is super irresponsible. And it means some other people are going to end up losing money because someone's going to buy the high. And so a lot of people say it'd be terrible for the space if Kanye came in and did a token. But a lot of these are, if it's a meme coin, we know it isn't attached to any value. It's just for funsies, right? It's just the lottery ticket for me to get that generational wealth. And so why can't we just play? And that's the perfect lottery because he's the perfect meme, right? Like before the show, I asked ChatGPT, who's the most controversial celebrity? And he was number one. That's it. He's the human meme coin. And so part of me is like, yeah, let's do it. Roll it out. Let's go.
Yeah, everybody I've spoken to has fallen either in that camp or I'm just not touching it. And I think I'm in the don't touch it camp. But mostly because I knew that going into every previous meme coin I've ever bought, and it's just having been burnt. Like there was a time where I could get excited about a new project, and I was ready to do the admin, right? Like the amount of. Do you remember when the Looks Rare token dropped? Like that,
Yeah.
I was trying to farm that before it came out, like using OpenSea, and like that's what they based it on. And so that was when I was back in those days where I was like, there's hope, there's something here. But just every meme coin bag I've ever bought, even when it's like initially pumped, I've done what you've done. I've not taken profit on it because I'm like, it's going higher. Like 100 quid isn't enough for me. Like I need I need $1 million.
Right.
I want to be that guy who put $38 into fucking Doge, and now it's like 7.2 million. But yeah, it's not. It's so I feel like the same thing is going to happen with Kanye, and then also I think he's gone past controversial now. You know, I think, and maybe he hasn't, because if he sold his Twitter account and all those like wild tweets that came out a few weeks ago weren't him, then maybe Kanye is still safe. But like this whole concept is now just getting too spicy for me. It's too much. I'm nervous around it. You know, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be attached to it, associated with it.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I want. Like is it even Kanye makes it even that much better, right? In a way. And you don't have to get in. That's more generational wealth for me.
Yeah, that is. But if you can get in early, because it's all like snipers and bots now, and I have no interest in going down that road.
Of course. And that's the problem with all the other new memes is and they rug so fast that you have to be one of those first ones in the gate. And I will never be, because I can't build the bot and snipe stuff early enough. And I'm not a part of whatever the cabals are who tell you like, okay, it's launching in 3 minutes, get ready.
Yeah. And never have I seen that so perfectly pronounced as the 40 minutes that it took us to get this podcast up. The tech issues that we had. I felt so much like a boomer in that moment, just trying to get everything dialed in, that I was like, yeah, I'm not on the cutting edge of anything now. This is, and maybe that's like, you know, us accepting neither of us are 40, but we're closing in on that number. We're going to be the boomers soon. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but
I feel great because I don't know. For me, it's the thrill of the fact that I legitimately work in like advanced technology, like Web3, AI, blockchain. This isn't like regular tech. This is like that next level of tech. And I work in that space. And yet it took me 40 minutes to figure out how to get my webcam to work. And this happens to me all the time in my real life with my wife. Something will happen and I'll turn to her and say, I work in technology. And I don't know, I'm amazed by it, even though, yeah, also it's probably a little pathetic if we're honest, but I prefer not to be honest, at least with myself.
I like how you approach it though, because you still have that childhood wonder of, it's all going to be fine. We're going to figure this out. Like, we'll just keep trying. And I think you talked me through 40 minutes of of my blood pressure rising and being like, what's going on with the tech? What's going on with the tech? And you were just like, it's so cool. It's all fine. So I feel like if I was going to get anybody to build my sniper bots, it would be you.
I appreciate that. I'm actually releasing a sniper bot token at the end of this episode. And also, I feel like Web3 has a certain level of delusion. Like, there's a lot of really smart people building really smart things, obviously, but there's also a lot of people who are just dreamers. And so I feel like I fit into that. I have a friend who's been interviewing for Web3 positions, and a company they just interviewed with said they're NASA in the 1960s. That's their comp as a Web3 company building. In their minds, they're the same as NASA building rockets to go to the moon. Okay. And I think you need a certain amount of delusion to feel like there's no higher comp than that. And I just thought that was amazing. And that's such a Web3 feeling to have as a company, or how I feel like that as a human.
Yeah, you needed to wade into those waters and sustain you. I mean, you know, both of us have put a legitimate 3 years into actual employment in the Web3 space. So you need that to get by, right? Because otherwise it just seems so completely insurmountable.
Yeah. But also that's insane.
Oh, and yeah, there's a lot of people who take advantage of that insanity as well, and they're just like, I mean, do you know why? And my brain is going 100 miles an hour because I have a million stories about the craziness of Web3, and my brain keeps presenting them to me, and then my frontal lobe is like, not that one. You can't tell that one. That one, you know, NDA. No, don't say that one. So I'm racking my brains to be like, oh yeah, because we've seen it from the beginning, right? Jumping on Discord, like Twitter Spaces and Discord calls, and roaring at the beginning was a regular occurrence in 2021 for me, which feels like a lifetime ago. But all of those silly NFT projects.
I just ordered some new background boxes to reflect what's happening with me currently. And I almost printed out all the NFT projects from like the first ones I got onto when things were really going. And it's like, oh, this one's going to hit. And it's like, there was one that was like a dragon winery.
Yeah.
That was
I remember that
terrible. One. There's so many that looking back on them now, and it's like, what was I doing? Except that there was a time when everything felt like a great idea and everything is going to hit.
And there was a mixture as well, because I remember there being a lot of like bad art, and looking at it going like, well, you know, the art's not great, but like the idea could be good. Like this could be a great game. But then there were some really good ones. Like there was a project called Sushiverse, and the art was beautiful, like really well put together. Like that must have taken, like, if you've ever put a NFT collection together, that's hard, right? Doing all those different variations, and you know, so that at least you can later programmatically put them together. But like, it was really well put together, and they rugged. Like, you know, presumably you get into that space and you're like, all right, I've got a couple of $1 million in the bank now. Like, let's make a game, and then you're like, oh, games are actually really expensive.
Right. Or we can just take this couple $1 million and just walk away and no one even knows who we are. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's an option too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but that was another part. Like I bought into dozens of these NFT projects, and looking back, it's like, oh, those were all terrible. But what if I had accidentally bought an ape or accidentally bought a pudgy penguin along the way? Then I'd be thrilled with myself now.
I remember I was a big fan of JRNY crypto back in 2021. And I remember seeing video after video of the apes, right? Just talking about the concept of it and like how it works. And I remember at the time being like, you know, I'm into the tokens. I don't really understand how the art works. Like, and I think I even like went to the mint page, like went and just sort of had a look at what it was. And it was that burn, the burn of seeing that pump immediately that got me into. And actually, the projects that followed that I aped into were like Deadfellas and Lazy Lions, and both of them had like a real heyday.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I know, and Deadfellas obviously are continuing to build and continuing to do exciting stuff. So that one I'm very pleased about. Lazy Lions changed holders, I think, a couple of times. I haven't really kept up with them, but I love the art there. Again, that was like I actually flipped a couple of those at the I guess what the peak was of that. But that was a really lovely little project. That's when I was roaring on Discords, which was the silliest thing. Looking back at it now, I was so caught up in it. I was so excited to roar on a Discord. Oh. But also, I want to talk about you've just released a NFT with September Morning, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, I'm a make believe music artist. I guess I'm a real. I don't know what makes a real music artist. I struggle with if you're not doing a thing like as your full time gig, then you're a hobbyist, right? Like
Yeah.
I come from a photography background. My wife is a professional photographer. It's what she does. Her whole life is photography. And so someone's like, "Oh, I shot a wedding one time. I'm a photographer." It's like, but you're not actually. And so I dabble. I make music stuff sometimes, but I'm not really a musician. Actual musicians are
Did you learn
amazing.
any instruments? What's your, or have you just picked
I was
stuff
a
up?
drummer.
Of
I was a
course.
drummer, and
I knew there
also
was a reason I liked you.
and then also frontman for a bit.
Okay.
And now just play around with different stuff. Yeah,
What kind of music?
kid
What kind
stuff.
of music were you a frontman for?
Punk.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting punk. I could have
So
seen
what were you expecting? What were you
folk.
imagining?
I find you are a gentle and whimsical soul. So, did you sing with a fake British accent?
Oh no, should
Oh,
have.
that
Yeah,
would have been wonderful.
I should have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I am now that I'm pushing 40-year-old
Mm.
degen. I've softened up quite a bit. In my youth, I was very angsty.
Mm. I'm glad that you worked it all
Yeah.
out, though. That obviously worked. But you do have a touch of Rollins about you. You know Henry Rollins.
Well, of course. I know. Yeah,
A
yeah.
bit, a bit meditative, a bit very self-aware.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very self-aware.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'm good friends with Emily from September Morning.
Mm.
She's great. They released
Mm.
stuff, and we were joking about me remixing one of their tracks, and so I did. Because why
I
not?
love it.
Really, right?
It felt to me like I remember sending you this message. It felt like the outro track to some kind of like 2001 like new metal adjacent album. It was kind of like not quite Linkin Park. Linkin Park had like almost a techie like a techno influence on their electronic style, but that it just had that kind of like fade out. Like I don't want to say Limp Bizkit, but that's what I was listening to in 2001.
Hey,
They made it over the
I'll
top.
take it. Nothing wrong with the biscuit comp, right?
That was my jam at some point in my youth. All those moons ago. Right, I've got some questions from our dedicated audience.
Are you talking about the degen mailbag?
I'm talking about the degen mailbag, yes. And let me scroll back to them in my Discord. But by the time this airs, there will be a proper link in the description that you can join the community of other like-minded and other commiserating degens on
I
how
like
they.
that. What is there a range to join? Do you have to be within a certain number of years of 40 to be a member of the 40-year-old degen insiders club?
No, I think it's a lifestyle rather than a number. It's definitely that you've been pinned down and pummeled repeatedly by the crypto markets.
I like that. Yeah,
If
it's a state of mind. It's a vibe. It's a very sad vibe.
it's a very jaded vibe. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like everybody says time passes quicker in the Web3 space, or at least that was the joke when when I joined, right? So I feel like you only have to have really served 4 to 5 years in the crypto space to really be a 40-year-old degen.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But I don't want to limit.
Yeah,
I don't want to exclude people just because they don't fit the
yeah,
number.
you're totally right. I'm sure there are some 20 somethings who feel like they get it.
Oh, I mean, I remember. I mean, in those discords in 2021, I remember there were kids that were like 18, and I was like, "Why are you doing this? Like, this is intense. This is hardcore. Like, just go and enjoy your life. Being 18 is
Yeah,
lovely."
I think the difference for me is I'll bet most of those kids actually did it the right way and made a ton of money.
Yeah, because
Right?
they weren't struggling to connect webcams and open PDFs, and they actually
Yeah, they
had
put the
some.
pieces together a lot faster. It's 4 or 5 years on for me. I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know how to read a chart, Hutch. Should I? I don't know. Maybe. What are
I
these
mean,
candles they keep talking about?
I'm still not quite sure what they mean by read. Like, I can look at it, but it's not saying anything to me. Although
Right.
the
And to
Bitcoin
look at
chart,
the
maybe,
pattern and to think what the next part of the pattern is going to be.
yeah. I
Come
do
on.
feel like I look at the Bitcoin chart now and it makes me go. So maybe that's what reading it means.
I think that's
Um,
probably true.
no, these come from RNG Crypto.
I know that guy.
RNG stands for real nice guy. Um,
Yep.
that's not true. I just made that up. But he obviously, in lieu of there being an actual community ready to ask us questions, I went to our friends in the Web3 space. A good question to start with, I think. What's the most degen trade you've done that actually worked out? Now, I think worked out here, given your previous statement about not selling anything, which I think is an honourable position. I want to take
hmm
a moment to really highlight how honourable I feel that is. But what worked out?
What worked out?
Mm,
I mean, the real actual answer is none of it, right?
mm,
Because I held everything too long. But I think if we want to keep it positive and look at what could have worked out if I had just sold it when I should have sold it, if I had taken profits, uh, the very first thing I ever got into was Hex, which I got
oh
in
yeah,
pretty early and actually did well on
boxes. They were
when it
like
was one.
it was like a decentralized thingamajig with the little routers, wasn't it? That you could plug in and give people access to the. Was that Hex? No.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it's just a token. I don't know what it does. I don't know what anything does, Hutch. But no,
We weren't worried about utility back then.
on on Facebook, a friend of mine was selling some Bitcoin mining computers, and I
Mm.
had commented on their listing. And then another friend, a guy named Mike, messaged me and said, "Hey, I saw that you commented on that. Don't do that. Buy Hex." And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I did know he was a really, really smart guy. And
Okay.
for me, the best thing I can do for myself is just if a smart person tells me to do a thing,
Mm.
just do that thing.
Mm.
But then the problem is they often don't, and this is on me clearly, they don't follow up later to say, you
You should
did the
tell us
smart
now.
thing I told you to do, now sell it. And then I would go through the same thing in my head where I would say, oh, this is a smart person telling me to, but they trust me just to have bought it and like, oh, Taco, he great. Taco must have done really well. And he did, but then never sold. And so
Mm.
smart friends have a little bit of follow through, please.
Mm. Yeah.
And so I bought a bunch of Hex that did really well. So that was my very first play in crypto, and it actually did great for me.
My first introduction to trading stuff, because I'd bought various cryptos and I was holding them because I didn't really understand trading. I didn't know what to do. But the first thing that I got marketed, I think, was like crypto arbitrage. And so I had
Mm.
this bot that connected into things, and then it would like trade all these random and this was 20, was it 2019? It might have been 20, it was 2019, 2020. And it would trade all these like the equivalent of shitcoins then, right before all of the everybody started launching everything. and that was horribly unprofitable. But the things that actually the only thing that's ever really worked is me buying Bitcoin regularly, and then in the 2020 cycle, I noticed that the DCA had worked, and I started DCAing into other smaller cap coins, and then I sold them all, not at the top of the market, but like a month, a couple of weeks after the peak of the market. So I was up in all those positions, and I was like, oh, like this isn't generational wealth, but like this seems to work, and then I DCA'd into a couple of really interesting projects. A Akash network was a really good one because that was like decentralized computing for rendering, right? 3D rendering or something. And as it started taking off, AI suddenly needed loads of computing power. And everybody was like, oh, this computing power isn't for 3D rendering anymore. It's for AI. And it went, pow! So that was, that's the only, and that didn't work out because I thought it worked out through luck more than anything. Question number 2. I know the answer to this. It's the same as me. How many worthless NFTs are sitting in your wallets right now?
Oh. Ballpark?
Well, I think we can restrict it to ones that we've bought because there's always that hidden tab on OpenSea, right, where people throw junk at you. But yeah, I'm 4 figures deep, definitely.
Oh, it's for sure. It's hundreds for sure. It's too many. It's too many.
I got into this habit because mostly there's a couple of projects that I like continuing to buy because they're early and because they might be valuable in the future and because they got really cheap, right? So Sad Girls Bar, because I love that art. It's like black and white with like pops of color. It just looks amazing. The artist is really talented. I have bought some Lazy Lions and Deadfellas. Those are like the 3 that I will, on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, I'll just go and see what's on the floor and I'll sweep some up. But I really got into a habit of buying, and these were like the cheapest at the times, but they were called the Society of Degenerate Apes. And somebody had basically, again, the artwork is nice. It's not as complex and there's not as many variations as some other projects, but they'd taken doodles and the apes and kind of like blended the two of them together. And I've probably got more than 10% of the supply of those. Because I was like, if there's ever a project that I just want to like be a whale in, then I can do that for very cheap, right? They were $5 a piece at the bottom.
Sure.
But like I just kept buying them, and then I don't know why. I think it's a bit of a nihilist thing that I was just like, I don't even think they're going to go back up again. I just want to be the biggest holder. So I've got top 10.
Most of mine they're never going back up again. It's dead projects. It's yeah.
Amazing. All right. Question number 3.
I like that though. Go ahead.
Well, and you can go and buy the another 10% of those if you like, because they're getting really low in supply.
It's nice feeling like a whale in something, though, right? Like I have the most of a project. That's kind of fun.
And there is always that like slim chance. Like there aren't that many people. People will lose them, and wallets will disappear, and blah blah blah. And yeah, you never know. That might be my key to success. Taco, do you believe in diamond hands? Or is taking profit the move?
Strictly diamond hands. 100% diamond hands forever. Never, ever, ever take profit.
You must have the diamondiest hands in the business.
I promise you. Yes.
So but you must have sold something along the way, like just little bits, like even just or you're trading it into something else.
Just dump it into sell something to buy another shit thing to hold that until you sell it to buy the next thing.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that about you today, and I am filled with pride on hearing that.
I will say this, and I do feel good about. I know how much money I put into crypto, how much went from my actual real life bank account into Coinbase and then went out into the different projects. I know that currently, right now, even now with the market being where it is, if I cashed all of it in, I'm up. And that feels good. I also know how high I've been and
Yeah,
how far it's come down from then, which is, it has to be funny, because if it's not funny, it's very, very sad. But I'm up. And so it's hard to look at it like it's been a true disaster. It
yeah.
has, but it's been a fun disaster because I still have a home. Like it hasn't affected my real life. It's just, its own little tragedy. But again, for the friendships made along the way, man.
If you had to explain crypto to your 80-year-old self, how would you do it?
I work in community where part of my job is to explain what it is that I do. And I
Mm,
still struggle with it. So I should have an answer for this. It's really hard, and it gets harder all the time because it keeps evolving. And I had dinner with my parents recently, and we were talking about meme coins came up, and trying to explain to someone, and they're pushing 80, trying to explain to people what a meme coin is and why anyone in there might. And here we are talking about Kanye. It's like, yeah, I really want Kanye to release a coin, a token,
but it's not Kanye.
and it'll get to a $40 billion market cap, and then in an instant it's going to be nothing again.
Yeah.
And it's insane. You can't explain that to a normie, because none of it makes any sense.
Well, I'm not even a normie because, like, I try to explain some of this stuff to my wife, and she'll listen. If she listens and nods along, she's like, "No, I'm sure it's lovely, dear." But like, for somebody who probably never even got into like trading stocks or anything, to then go further and say, "Well, because of the impact that you guys had on the economy, no one can afford to buy a house anymore. And so instead
Right.
of doing that, we gamble on pictures of dogs."
Ultimately it comes to that, right? It's like, oh, it's just kind of fun gambling in a way. My 13-year-old nephew understands all of it,
Yeah.
because I explained it to him through the lens of Fortnite. Like, you're playing a game. What if you actually owned those skins and you could sell them? And they have the in-game currency, and you say it's that, only you can then sell that token, or it changes value depending on different stuff, and you earn that, but then it's yours, and it's not just you inputting. And so he
Mm,
gets it. Like, that makes sense to him,
mm.
to explain
Yeah,
what
and that's all in
blockchain
the
is.
context. That's all in the
Yeah.
context. But presumably, he's a millionaire now because he immediately understood memes and tokenomics and went on pump.fun.
I'm confident if right now, and he knows nothing, and I've been in this space for years and years, if you gave each of us $1,000 and said, you've got a month to turn this into whatever you can turn it into in
Mm,
Web3, I promise you he would beat me.
good for
He would
him.
have to, right? Because he's 13 and he'd figure out whatever the thing is to figure out.
Mm.
And I would,
He's still got that fire
yeah, he's
like we
got the
did when
fire.
we.
He'd figure out the kids on TikTok who are rugging everybody, and he'd get in with them. And I don't know.
Oh, all right. We should close on our specialist subjects because those are the spaces that we work in. Is there anything interesting
Yeah,
going on in Web3 gaming at the moment? That's your world, isn't it?
it, it is. And, it's a tough time right now, I think, in Web3 gaming in general, because it was the gaming super cycle, and now it's a little bit tougher because the
Mm,
funding isn't really there for games the way it had been. Um, and you see some games launch, and like maybe they put a token out that isn't doing incredibly well, but I still believe in Web3 gaming. as an entity, that it can do well. And I think people are building some fun stuff. I think for a long time, the games people were building weren't very good games, which made it a challenge. And you're seeing better and better games, I think, which are nice. Like Shatterline's a cool game. There's games that you would play as a game, not just a Web3 game. And I think that certainly helps. But yeah, they're working on it. They're trying.
I always liked the premise of Web3 gaming, and I never I mean, I got into like there was a terrible Bomberman ripoff on Binance Smart Chain. That was an early thing for me, and I got in super early and all the heroes, and it was earning me whatever. I never sold any of it, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
I always loved the idea of it. But it's so complicated to build blockchain into a game. But then, like, there are obviously we both know short fuse gaming, and like having conversations with those guys makes me go, oh yeah, that that is what it's supposed to be, and that was really good. And maybe if you could just make a great game and have it interact with the blockchain like that, and have some other kind of market for those things, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think it needs to be a fun, playable game, which some people are making. I think that's great. And I just run it all by my 13-year-old nephew, and he says, cool, then you're probably good to go. Right?
He has sign off. He has signature on your wallets, does he?
He should. He should. Yeah. I don't know why I haven't done that. Yeah, that's my plan for this weekend.
Just
Just
give
go
him
just go make money. Here's where to start. Here's some
$1,000.
KOLs. Here's some KOLs to follow. Here's some starter kit.
Oh, super, super. Well, this has been a pleasure. I didn't think of anything to say at the end, which was a mistake. But this is going to be on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. If you watch this far, I think we deserve a like and a subscription. And if you want to come and hang out with us and chat, there's a Discord link in the description below. And I also have a little sneak peek of some merch that we've been testing out. So there might be some of that later if you love us that much after one episode. Having said that, I've already had pre-orders for these, so that's not me being delusional.
A part of me believes you wanted to do this just because you wanted to order some new merch.
See, now I know that you have a hat with your name on it, and I wear hats, right? I mean, I presume you wear hats for the same reason I wear hats, but I like a nice hat. I have to order mine specially from America because I have a very big head.
Okay.
A double XL head. And so obviously I'm repping the Film Guild today. But I do have a 40-year-old degen hat on the way, which will not be the one that's in the normal one that everyone else can buy, because those one-size-fits-all hats, that's not me.
Yeah, and you should have your own custom swag anyway. Right?
It should. I mean, that's what I want. Really, I want some kind of merch that I can wear that makes that other people go, "Oh, that's cool." Like, and it's nice merch. But I've never really attached myself to a brand. There's never been a brand that I like, and I like
Mm-hmm.
wearing. I have a couple of mishmashes of little ones, but what I really want is like a nice, sleek-looking. All right, I'm talking. I'm sounding like a complete knob. So I'm pumping the brakes on that one. Any last thoughts? Any last words?
Uh, no, I love merch, and so I'm all about it. I don't mean to give you a hard time. This was fun. I hope some people watched it till the end. I'm not going to give you tips on what to do in Web3, but I'm here to commiserate, and to make people feel like whatever your losses are, I have similar losses, and we're still having fun, and that's what this is about.
I feel like Harold. We're still having fun. Oh, I love this. Thank you. I'll call you. I'll call you next week.
Love it.
Oh no, we can actually just stop the recording and then we can chat afterwards. I forgot that. Okay, let's do that.
Oh, okay. Tell me again how this works. I, I work in technology.
I know.
All right, and recording.